Welcome to Lady Blerds Sing the Blues, a podcast where three beautiful, full-figured, talented Black women talk about their experiences moving through this world and sharing their knowledge to further support Black businesses and build up Black communities. I am one of your three hosts, Prowess the Testament, and I am here with beautiful, sometimes V, as well as the amazing Kylie, and we're about to give it to you.
That's right. We're here for another wonderful, beautiful, fantastic, restful Sunday episode of Lady Blerds Sing the Blues. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Prowess. Getting you geared here.
Right? I love how Prowess is so put together. Like,
yeah, we're not polished.
No, she's like, welcome to our beautiful, lovely podcast. Then we're like, it's not Sunday morning. We did great. We're awake. We have faces washed. Makeup is done for most of us. And we're here. Let's get into it.
Sometimes I just want to be a little rugged.
You got sometimes, you know what? Yes.
Sometimes be, sometimes rugged.
It's like that one meme of like Ray J in his hat where it just slowly, gradually gets there where you're like, okay, I don't know how just gradually you've seen this, de-evolution, but y'all about to get that too.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. So let's go ahead and start off with how's our week going. Actually, we'll help Prowess go first. So how was your week?
It was a busy week this week, but I am encouraged by that. It will be, it's the last week of the month. So, and Grant's World, it's all of our reports are due end of the quarter. But yeah, I'm excited about ending out September and welcoming its spooky season. We were just having this great conversation. I'm looking forward to Let There Be Carnage next weekend, or this Friday. And so yeah, Venom Let There Be Carnage coming out, and I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to see what happens for Eddie Brock and Venom this week.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some Tom Hardy action.
Yes.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Let's not forget those old MySpace photos I used to have up there.
Wow. Yes, they were quite spicy.
They were very spicy. He's like, I am bringing back the whitey tighty movement. It's okay because he's cute as hell.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to Naomi Harris. I love her in everything. She's incredible. She is one of my favorite characters, and Tia Dalma in Pirates of the Caribbean films, that franchise. I love her. I felt like that character portrayal did not get the full attention it deserved.
It really didn't.
No, she was so awesome in that.
Like all these people were fawning over what's her face, and I was just like, but what's her face? That one chick. That one chick with the accent.
Hello. I love it.
I actually am not really too depth into the casting of this movie, to be honest. I just know it's Tom Hardy.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters when I'm like, ooh, Inception, ooh. Wait,
and directed by Andy Serkis, which is like everybody knows from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and The Hobbits and Planet of the Apes, Caesar, and what has he not been in at this
Seriously,
point?
oh my gosh. I watched this man do a little segment and he did some little choice voice acting, and I was just like, you have so many people to choose from and your transitions are so smooth. What a gem, what a gift, what a voice.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's going to be a good movie. Venom is actually one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of the Spider-Man era of Marvel. And so I've always had some sort of fondness to that character in general, because I know it's a duality of this is an alien that took over your body, and Brock is shit. And then you have Carnage. But I also have the special connection to it because I used to play Spider-Man on the Dreamcast. And so and that was the two main villains, was Venom and Carnage.
Yeah.
I
love the fact that it's still we're still talking about in this era, there's so many careers that were journalists in that era of Stanley writing these characters, and it's journalist is the context of it has changed because there's citizen journalists now who just report from home, and all of the other, how journalism has sort of changed from the days of Eddie Brock and like Peter Parker.
Yeah. No, they were getting into it. Like just having like
they were true journalists. Yeah.
Right? I feel like nowadays, like you get paid not to report. Like, shh, don't report that. We don't report that here.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Yeah. That fake news crap.
Yeah.
I think it's also scary too, because like you can like, I mean, how you can get hurt while you're on I'm gonna call it a mission. You can get hurt while you're on a mission trying to get information. I just actually finished Clickbait, where there was like a super hungry reporter, and like he almost got hurt a couple of times because
I haven't seen it yet. I'm watching Squid Games with my friend later.
This might transcend into my house of the week, because yes, I just finished Squid Game, and oh my god.
My mind went somewhere completely different. Please enlighten me, Squid Game, because
okay, enlighten us both, because I just heard of it. That my friend said,
tentacles and hentai. That's all that ran through my mind. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm letting you know right now.
You thought it was more anime?
Yes.
When my friend suggested it, I was trying to figure out too. I was like, what are you saying? What you want to watch, boy?
Is this going to be a spoiler alert? We need to make sure that whoever's listening, spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
It's not tentacle hentai.
Definitely not tentacle hentai. Definitely not whatever your generalizations over there, you pervert.
Hey, you're the nerdy, I'm the dirty. It's great.
Yeah, it was very like choose your fate based off of your circumstance.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to start it off with. Sure, they introduce the series like this is a playground game that we used to play as kids, and it was very violent. It was very rugby-esque. And then you're like, oh, that's cute. And then it goes slam right into, hey, this is a guy that's dangerously in debt right now and can never recover, and his life is falling apart. Like, it's just like, okay, cool. Sounds like this guy ruined his life by getting into some fiscal nonsense that he shouldn't have gotten himself into, aka gambling. And so gambling is truly a problem for
an addiction.
Yeah, there's a certain type of high people get when they're gambling consistently. But yeah, they talked about that, and it kind of reminded me of this old school anime called Kaiji. And Kaiji was kind of based off of that, where you had to play games to reduce the debt that you were in, but it wasn't just you were in a group of people who were trying to get basically their debt forgiven, or their debt, they were trying to find ways to pay off that debt. So yeah, that was the initial kind of like start of the story. The way that it got so horrific after the first episode. Did you get that far, Prowess?
I haven't even. We're watching it tonight.
You're watching it today. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on there. So never mind, no spoiler alert.
No spoilers.
But let's just say the page fucking turns.
There's no squids.
There's no squids.
Okay.
There's no squids. It's more than just like, oh, boo-hoo, some guy fucked up. It's a lot. It's a very, 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 very capturing story. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna give you.
I love South Korean film in general, which is kind of killing it right now. Parasite did so well.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's always been killing it. I mean, I think back to like when they tried to remake Old Boy. I don't know what Spike Lee was thinking. That's such a failure, because like you can't remake Old Boy. And that was always one of my favorite ones. And Memories of Murder. So good.
Yeah. So yeah, if you watch it, just like definitely it goes very slow at the beginning, and then after like maybe halfway through, you're just like, what just happened? Also, make sure your son is in the room, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Just as a precaution.
I get him scared and tell him, oh, it's a Conjuring on.
Ooh.
Yeah. I guess if you don't mind, if we transition to how my week's going, I binge watched all of Squid Game this weekend. I didn't anticipate doing that, but I did. I am a little broken.
Oh no!
Because of how intense it was. Just say that. But other than that, I also finished Clickbait, which is not as good. That one was just kind of like a psychological thriller on, well, maybe not really a thriller, just a psychological drama about how people who are framed away isn't really them committing the crime. And so it was just very interesting on like the story, on how they outlined this one guy to make him look like a devil after all these circumstances that may have played into that. It was a lot. But I know that they took true scenarios to build that one story because there's a lot of catfishing, to say the least. Is it catfishing? When you like pretend that you're somebody else to get somebody, okay, yeah, it's catfishing. So there's a lot of catfishing, and then there was one person who was catfishing where you're just like, you tilt your head, you're like, I swear I heard a story about this. So yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm like, definitely I feel like the catfishing show probably had some inspo with this. But yeah, I watched that, and I'm taking one step at a time. I felt very fatigued this week. I'm hoping the weather gets cooler because I can't keep fighting this heat, but like that's just me being like a big baby about it.
So give us some perspective. What is the weather there?
Cute. I love Californians. We're like, we're fighting the heat. It's 80 degrees.
But it gets to like 90 in my room because my room is a freaking incubator.
That's true. You are trying not to bake yourself alive.
Yeah, I'm not trying to bake myself alive.
That's the other thing. We don't have AC typically in California. Like a lot of these homes are not. Okay. It's not like an auto thing.
Yeah, like if you find a place with AC, expect to pay like $2,000 more in rent because that's how dirty people looking for housing. Whereas like if you go to like Arizona, I feel like it's a requirement.
It's a requirement. AC. You will die.
Yeah. If you don't have AC, you will die.
They're laughing at our 80 with their.
It's pretty much like central air is not even like, you don't even put that, you have it. It's just the thing. You can't exist here without central air. No way.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's for you where it gets super cold, like you have to have heating and cooling.
Yes. It gets humid here when it gets hot, so I never try to complain for like the Phoenix folks. Yeah, it doesn't get like 116 here, but after it gets 100 and plus, it doesn't matter to me. I've always said like after 100 plus, it just doesn't matter in the heat and the humid, but the cold, with the snow and all of that. But it's actually really mild here. It's about 79 degrees at the height, which is like really mild and kind of like the humidity is really low right now.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. Like California, it's weird because like it doesn't get really hot when you're closer to the coast. I mean, it does peak up to 100 every so often, but
in the valley and stuff.
In the valley, it does get pretty hot, and then that's where all the fires kind of happen, is like in the valley, and also SoCal. SoCal gets really hot actually, now that I think about it.
They get really hot, and then also like we just don't manage our like underbrush properly. A lot of our state parks, since they've cut the funding, that's a large portion of what they were doing. It's like people don't realize how important like state parks are and how important our rangers are and how important it is once you take community, indigenous peoples, and remove them from a space where they were maintaining the land, and then you come in and you just don't know how to properly like maintain that land. Like no wonder we have problems here. Like the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, how's your week, Kylie?
My week is...
Was it pretty hot, like the weather?
It was hot. It was hot. But no, it was good. It was pretty chill, actually. I helped a friend celebrate their birthday. Shout out MTG Designs. Happy birthday, Momo. So that was really nice. We got to watch just a bunch of fun stuff. I watched Hot Tub Time Machine Hot Tub.
Oh my god.
I've never watched it before. It's ridiculous.
So fun.
But yeah, I was like, it's just funny good times. And then we watched Food Wars. Shokugeki no Soma is my
You're so shit. On that.
I love it. I love it so much because like the recipes are real. I like food. And the fan service in that show is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Too much, you say? Nay, nay. Bring on those nips for that hot ramen scene. Thank you.
We got our resident pervert in the house. That's what we got.
Hi, hello. I'm here. That was my week. No, it was great. I got to actually have some really good conversations with management at work in terms of like trying to negotiate some days working from home. And that worked out for me. So I'm pretty psyched about it. And earlier this week, I did my first like actual paid gigs for massage.
Yay!
Okay.
$100 an hour come through, man.
Let's go.
Hey, so we're pretty psyched about it. We're pretty happy. Things are rolling out smooth.
Like phalanges.
Yes.
Getting those phalanges through. Yeah, no, I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you're doing the massage thing because I know that's been an endeavor. What is English?
Anglais?
Yeah. No, I'm happy for you. Wow.
Yeah.
So like, how many clients have been like, so Kylie, I need to feel your phalanges?
So far I've got 3 people who just like, hey, I know you're doing some work. Can I please? I need help.
3 people is a good start.
3 people is a great start, and especially since it's like I haven't really advertised. It's people that I've been working on before in class. One of the people is like a near and dear friend to me. We started our massage course together, and she ended up having a stroke that like actually saved her life because they discovered an aneurysm. Like the stroke saved her. Okay, like it's kind of crazy. Yes, huge crazy ride, but actually being able to utilize my skills to help her regain movement in her left side and like watch her flourish and like help her open up her own massage studio and just see that
she's doing them as well. She went back after post-stroke.
Yeah, she was able to finish, and she was kind of like my partner. We always like buddied up together whenever we had like body work sessions, mainly just because like we were comfortable with each other, and I had seen her outside of class and was like helping her with some of that body work outside of class. So like that's been really great, and it's really empowering to see your work have an effect.
Yeah.
And have a real life-changing effect where someone can literally come to you and say like, hey, I wasn't able to like raise my arm and use my left side and have strength, and like now I can have a functioning practice and make money and have a living and not have to rely on disability and not have to just accept that, you know, this is my new normal. Like, so that's something that's been a blessing for me, and it's been helping a lot with like my own stress management, learning a lot of techniques, learning different pressure points on like how to help other people definitely helps myself like tremendously.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, all jokes aside about me, who wants to feel your fingers? I'm more than like, no, massage really does help, I feel like, with, you know, getting things loose, getting things figured out. Like some people don't take the time to really take care of their bodies, and that's part of it. That's part of the process, I feel like. And I'm guilty of it. I've never gone to a massage therapist, like ever.
It's a stigma. Like it's a stigma in our community that Black women like are not welcome, and you know what I mean? Because I don't know about you, but like that was one of the first things that I had even addressed in my class was the fact that like I'm a plus size Black woman, and when I go to these spas, or if I go to like a wellness center, I'm not seeing anybody who looks like me. And so then in the back of my mind, I'm just like, well, are they going to be comfortable working on someone who has my kind of body? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just things that run through my mind. And then I know also it's just like we have this idea that massage is a luxury that, you know, we just don't get to take part in because our lives are like so stressful and we're always like on the go, on the grind. So yeah, trying to do some more work in that space.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kylie, for bringing like diversity, equity, and inclusion to the massage therapy space. Like that is so important. Yeah, there's certainly not a lot of that here.
Yeah.
People.
No, I agree. There's always going to be some stigma the moment that we walk into the room, and that's just that's when that happens, because you're always on your defenses, right? Like everyone acts like, well, why are you so like, nervous for? It's like, I'm nervous because I need to make sure that I'm accepted and that my work is validated here in this space. Because like it's just no matter what space you're in, like, Kylie has her massage space, I have my trombone space, Prowess, I'm sure you have your hip hop space, even your nonprofit space. There's always some reason why we're always like on the alert to make sure that our work is being seen as worth. And so I just thank you. No, for real. Like, thank you for like bringing attention to another space, because like some people think like, oh, massage, but no, really, like, like women, we're still fighting the reasons why we need to find a belonging in these different spaces. Like, we're always going to be versatile and dynamic. Always. Speaking of versatile and dynamic, let's go ahead and celebrate Miss Michaela Coel about winning an Emmy for May I Destroy You. It was very much an emotional and vulnerable show that was based on the true stories of her experiences. We were talking about this last time, how, or maybe not last time on the show, but like while we were doing our like planning sesh, like how I didn't think anything of like chewing gum, and I didn't think that there was anything going on in the background. Like, I thought it was just European humor, when really that there was other things kind of underlying during that project that I had zero clue about. And so like, Kylie, you actually told me, you were just like,
so I think, especially like since we've done like the representation panel, I tend to like look at shows a little differently now. And especially like with UK shows, because their humor is a little more like unadulterated, and you can get away with so much more things over there than like, there's just things in there and themes that they deal with that you don't see in American television because we're so PC. But there were things in that show that definitely made me wonder what it was like for her as an actress, having to put herself in those situations. There was a lot of examination on like her physical body, her Blackness, specifically like relationships between like white men and her Blackness. Like, there was literally an episode where a man like took her to his apartment and had her dress up in like African garb and like wanted her to do this whole thing. And in her mind, she was just like, is this like a one-time thing? Like, are what's happening? And then this dude's wife comes home and is just like, that's not like traditional like African garb, like that's like my swimsuit, like, can you please get out of it? He's always doing this, like, he's just he has a thing for taking Black women and like fetishizing them and dressing them up as like some weird tribal like African princess. So like the show really goes there. And there were a lot of other scenes like having to do with just like risky sexual situations and also like dirty sexual situations. And just like how that like dirty ghetto-ness gets equated to Blackness and gets equated to like, well, you should be willing to accept these standards because you're Black, or because you're this, or because you're that. And so it was there was a lot of that in Chewing Gum, like a lot. Yeah, it's funny on the surface, but that show is actually like real dark. That show gets really dark. And then it also deals with like religion. And so there were just a lot of like nuanced things in that show. So to see her growth from there to telling her story, to having to deal with Netflix and like people not wanting to run her that check and give her royalties for her own story, bringing us now to this moment where she is not only getting the recognition, but boy, oh boy, was that speech powerful.
Yes.
You talk about a woman coming from a space of comedy into a, like, because this woman has serious acting chops. After Chewing Gum, it was just like the gloves were off. She was you were talking about journalism. She was talking about war, genocide, experiences, being a Black woman, coming specifically from Africa to a European country and having that experience. And also having to fight the cover story, right? The VPC-isms that we have out here where people just don't want to look at the ugly truth and they try to tell you one thing when we all know it's the other. So for her to come out and make not only this beautiful speech around her personal experience, but to also reach out and connect to other women who have survived sexual assault, and to tell people, like, there was this whole thing with the Me Too movement, right? Where people felt like in order really to be seen that you really did have to lay everything out, right? In order to be believed as a victim, that you had to be willing to let people shuffle through your personal trauma. And she was able to stand up there as a powerful woman and say, you don't owe anybody anything. Take the time to not be visible, take the time to, and the space to be able to say, no, like, I'm not okay with you, like, being in my story, being in my personal trauma, dissecting it, using it for publicity, using it for clout, you know. She really made a public moment personal. Yes. And so I really appreciate her for that.
Yeah, I do appreciate the visibility that she is, you know, it's, since the Me Too movement, I've been happy to see that movement happen because, like, again, it really revamps in our society that these are situations that are still happening to women, especially, that we need to feel better supported when these things are happening, because a lot of the times there's always a watered, like, we're always getting watered, our experiences are always watered down by those who are listening. Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, that's not what it is. Like, you're thinking about it too much. It's not all that serious. Like, it's all a bunch of hoopla, where it's a weird gaslighting tactic to not bring drama into the situation, when really it's like, no, like, this is happening to me, whether if it's real time or it previously happened to me, and I'm, like, fucked up by it. Like, my experiences should not be, you know, dismissed because of your bias of it not happening to you, or it's your homie, or whatever the case may be. Or if you're thinking because, like, my personality alludes to that type of behavior, which it should never have to come to that situation of assault. Like, so what if I'm a flirt? So what if I'm like being conservative with what I'm wearing? So what if, you know, it's just the disregard that society used to give to, like, women, especially now that the Me Too movement happened, everyone thinks, like, oh, now it's happening less, when really it's still happening. I don't know, Prowess, what do you think?
I feel everything that you both are saying, and I feel like at the same time, to the fact that, like, this award show, the Emmys, has been so homogenous, despite them trying to, like, give ever so often they give one, you know, Emmy award away to someone, and they make that sort of a byline for the year, for the season. But, you know, it's a very much kind of like a space that we're not visible in as much. Yeah. And I feel like that Michaela could have used her voice in so many other ways. And people get up there and it's all this pomp and circumstance around, like, this entire list of people they have to thank, and from the producers to the directors to the writers to the cast, to everybody. And I felt like her just really using that moment to deliver such a sort of quiet, but, like, you know, really, really profound statement, especially around learning how not to be visible, learning how to disappear. And that you know, being a storyteller, people think of you being in the front face of everything, that there's always this front facing approach. And then I think she proved and added value to the fact that you don't have to be tell a story and be in the front of the camera all the time. Sometimes there is that contrast of learning how to disappear and take time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now that you bring it up, I do remember her adding that little aspect of like, it's okay to be, it's, what'd she say? She said, you just said it. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
don't be afraid to disappear from it.
Yeah,
in terms of success, that people somehow were equating
visibility
with success.
And
I love that, because it's like, yes, just because you are making the loudest noise, right, does not mean that you are actually potentially having the greatest success.
Which also I think is so important in like the culture nowadays of like influencers. Right? Because people are looking at social media and they're feeling like they have to put up a front to put their best foot forward, or that they have to live their life so publicly, or that, things are not, experiences are not real unless you're like letting the world know, which I think is also a big portion of kind of like victimhood, right? If you have something that happens to you and like a lot of the shame comes from like not wanting it to be public. And it's just like, hey, not all of your experiences have to be public. It's not for everyone to consume. It's fine. It's okay to disappear, take that time, work on yourself, and come back stronger and better than ever if you so choose. Like, so yeah, kudos to her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kudos to her. Like, it's very, 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 I am very proud of her. And she doesn't have to be vulnerable with us, but she, to have the strength to be that vulnerable, I applaud her for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and move along. Let's talk about nerdy and dirty and getting our mind right. Kayla, where did that come from? Movie. All right.
It's Michaela Coel. It's Michaela Coel time.
It's Michaela Coel time. Let's go.
Let's go. So nerdy and dirty. This segment, we're actually going to be a little more on the nerdy side. So since we've just had more just like serious topics and you talking about our weeks and what it's like just moving through this world, it can be very stressful. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about stress and like what happens in your body when people are saying like they're feeling stressed, they're feeling fatigued. That like fight or flight response when you're put into a situation that just doesn't feel right. Sometimes people think that it has to be like a physical response. You were walking across the street and a car almost hit you and now you have like this jump of adrenaline. But it also comes in subtler, more emotional ways as well. It's that email that came across your desk that didn't sit quite right with you. It's that group meeting that you're sitting in where your ideas are just not being heard, or it's the fact that you put up certain boundaries and it just seems like nobody respects them, right? And so every time these things happen to you, these are energetic interactions that you're having, it's still triggering this fight or flight response, and your body still has to do something with that stress. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we can do. Like I think about work just because that's a lot of where my stress comes from. It's just work, time management, being able to like push back on things and say like, hey, no, like this work does not belong to me. You need to take that back. I am so guilty of overworking, taking my work home with me, working outside of office hours, just feeling the need to have things done perfectly so that when they do come around and ask me, I am on my shit, I have to be. I constantly like will feel like I have to be doing the best, the most all the time. Because even though like they can tell you have job security all day, right? But I've seen how things have worked with other coworkers in the past. And it's just like, I'm also in a point where I can't take a risk of like not having a paying position. And so that is a lot of stress, and it's self-induced, right? Because somebody else could look at that situation and be like, girl, you are stressing yourself out for nothing. Like, don't worry about it. But the reality is, like, we could say that till we're red in the face, but how we actually manage that anxiety and that stress is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel that 100, where I feel like I've been called out at work so many times, not my current position, but like the the ratio of where I've been on top of it and been resourceful and been like available for those who need help or assistance or need that boost or objective done in that project, versus the very slim chance where I'm not ready to answer a question has been the most like resonating thing. And what I mean by that is, the moment I say I'm not ready to do something is the moment that it's like on my record all of a sudden, where it's like, but can you take record of maybe the 5 tasks prior that I've been ready and ready, set, go for, and now you're asking me about this thing that you asked me to do minutes ago, and now I'm suddenly incompetent or perceived as incompetent, or you'll find a reason to relabel my ethic, and that will definitely mess with my mental health, because it's like, with jobs, you need that ripples into your daily needs, from grocery shopping to sustaining the roof over your head to making sure your bills are all taken care of, like your car, which you'll need to get to your job, your phone, which you need to have on you, so that way if people call you, you're ready, set there for them, so that way there isn't any weird relabeling of things that are out of your control that are affected by your job. It's like being an employee in a sense, it's unfair because of how like we try to do our best, and the moment that we're passionate about those positions like is also the moment that any funk that happens in the water, like it really people of color get targeted first versus your counterparts. Like that's just no ifs, ands, or buts. And so yeah, like that weighs on my mental health very heavy. Hasn't before in the past. Not so much now. Like luckily I found ways to better cope with certain things, but also I learned that if I'm in an environment that's not great, I'm going to work my ass off to find a new environment that will suit me better. Like, and that's just the tea with it. It's like, yeah, I understand that some people, there's this thing in the workforce where it seems like not a novelty, but like people set a tradition, like once you get the job, you have to stay committed there for years and years and years and years. And I'm like, nope, that's not the case with me.
Nope.
That's not what's going to happen. If the moment I smell some funk and that funk is getting a little too funky, I'm out. Like I'm going to find another place that will suit me better. And that's what I advise for everybody to do. But I mean, not to steer too much away from the mental health.
No, that is like number one, like reclaiming your space, your time, how accessible your work life is versus your personal life. So yeah, number one, boundaries. Don't take your work home with you, Kylie.
Yeah, Miss Too Smart. I hear you doing that shit.
No, I do it all the time.
I scream at her for it too. I'm like, girl, get out of that office.
We got to remind each other that is a number one violation. I do feel like we bring that additional stress. Now you've created this environment in your home that only helps to uplift all the pain and trauma we've experienced at work. It's so hard. I've learned that as a mom too, is to sort of like, there is a point when I have to learn to play certain hats throughout the day, but the one hat I do have to play all day, whether or not I'm at work or not, is that I'm a mom. And it kind of is like, no matter what that means that I have to also prioritize my self-care in a way that I have not really had to do before being a mom, where, I could take a day off, because there's no such thing as a day off, right? There's like, I don't get the chance to sleep in, or, I'm not feeling well, I have to get up and make dinner for somebody. I have to like still give a bath and bedtime and homework, and like, there's never an off. So for me, there has to be self-imposed offs. There has to be a time and boundaries, even with my child, to be able to say, this time at this moment, this is my time. And teaching him that there's also his time, right? Like, so I feel like, yeah, we those boundaries are so important, especially with learning to turn off, because it's hard. So I'm like, there's moments when I have to turn off not being a mom at some point in time in my day. And I'm like, I have to find a way to cap that, right? Like, what do you both do in terms of how do you cap note your day, considering that we're all in a virtual world, and that, you sign off, but are you ever really signed off? Because you get buzzes on your phone, you're constantly checking email, and then you're virtual, so you're always on. What do you do to put an end stop to your day?
Is it okay if I can?
Yeah, go for it.
So a couple things that I've done is I will, no matter what space I'm in, I will find a room or an outside to get away from it for like during whether it's through my lunch break, or if I have like a pocket in time during my like normal breaks, like I will go outside. Most of the time I try not to bring my phone with me, even though my phone, I found, has been very there's a lot of traffic between people texting me, people sending me stuff on Messenger, people being like, hey, can you like interview me for my show, or all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I want to interview everybody for their shows. That's not the problem. The thing is that they don't realize, because it's not their business to realize this, is that I get so much traffic on my phone that I'm like trying my best to figure out the balance of when to respond. So, but going back to what I do is like, I will make sure throughout my day, I find a thing to get away from the screen, because the screen is very, we're like moths now. We're like human moths. We're like, the screen is there and we go to it because that's what we've been trained to do as kids, and to being an adult. All the cool things happen on screen, from TV to video games. So that's one thing I do. I do also I'm getting better at it, but I find a morning ritual too, where my morning ritual are like the main three things before all the obvious: make my bed, do some yoga, and like like go outside and like look outside real quick. And so those are the things that just helps me get up, instead of just like rolling out of bed, rolling into some like formal passing shirt, and then like going onto the screen. No, I have to make sure that I've been moving around for like an hour and a half before I actually start doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because with that, yoga really helps with like moving your organs around, making sure that you're stretching out all the muscles that you've had like kind of in one spot while you're sleeping. And then like the lady I listen to has a really good voice, and so like how she talks about the positions, like it's gotten to the point where I don't have to watch her anymore. I can just press play and like flip my phone over and just listen to her and tell me what position I'm doing next, or what pose I'm doing next. So then that way I'm really focusing and staying in tune with my body instead of following what's on the screen. But then after that, it's like the obvious things, like drinking water, taking a shower, doing all the things I need to do to get ready. And then I try to dive into it. If I don't do any of those things beforehand, I find myself feeling like 10% more stressed, because I didn't take that self-care and I didn't take the proper care for myself. If I don't take the time in the middle of the day to do the same thing, I feel like really stressed by the end of the night. And I also find myself doing more work past the hours, because I find myself like not dozing off, but getting distracted in the middle of a project instead of focusing in. So those are just some things I'm going to do. Some things I do aspire to do down the line, though, is Saturdays are like my day to not look at any phone, any communication channel. Like, I really want Saturdays to be the day where that I am like detached from my phone. Like, I don't care if I'm still playing video games or whatever, but the having the phone there where someone is trying to talk to me and I don't have the capacity to meaningfully do that, I have to give I'm trying to find one day of the week to just not give that attention. So that way I feel when I come back, I can have better, meaningful conversations with whoever is trying to reach out. So yeah, that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, so I love it because I've read a few different articles and they all pretty much say, like the same things. Get enough sleep, move your body physically, take time to get away from your screen.
Yes.
So you're already doing all the things. For me, I'm so analog. I really love like sitting in a dark corner and reading a book for hours, or like going out in nature somewhere and also then picking my book and reading a book for hours. Or I recently gotten back to drawing. I used to be really into like sketching and painting. It was something I used to do with my grandpa. We would go to like the tide pools and sketch boats and whatnot.
Nice.
So that has been something that I am making more time to do now. I think that's also like a sign of like growing up and maturity, is like you recognize that there are priorities in your life. And sometimes you just need to take the time and space to look at everything that is in your like daily minutia and like trim the fat and really look and see how you can actually be living more purposefully and not so reactionary. I think that actually puts me in a mind space to feel more supported and to feel more comfortable in establishing my own boundaries, where I can actually, be like, hey, no, this is how I function. I function this way regularly, so people already know what to expect. Like, it just makes things a lot easier. The yoga, stretching throughout the day, that is super important. That's one thing. That's a good habit I picked up from like massage school too, which is like before you can even like think about working on a client, you have to make sure that your body and your mental space is correct. Like you can't just be bringing your outdoor stress daily look to a session where you're supposed to be trying to help somebody get over like an injury or whatever it is that they've got going on in their lives. So like, I think that's what makes someone professional, right? Is that you are able to separate your work life from your home life. So that like work life, home life balance is something that I'm working on. But yeah, music and books and food and just like taking the time to actually have fun as well. You know what I mean? Like we're at work, we're not even working for ourselves.
No.
You're working for someone else. And at the end of the day, they don't care if you're happy when you go home. They don't care if you're sleeping well. They don't really care about your health until it becomes costly for them.
Well, disclaimer, to be clear, my current job does. Your current job does care. I got lucky. They care. You got lucky.
Like, how many people can
I don't need anybody
listening
to this being like, she hates us.
She hates us. No. I have been lucky to work in some spaces where, sure, I felt like immediate support, but for the majority of my working experience, it has not been that. It's been, you're a cog, you're replaceable. It will take a lot to replace you because you're excellent, darling. But at the end of the day, it is a position. And if you have a certain skill set, anyone can fill this position and do that job. So yeah, I am encouraging people to actually figure out the things that they are strong at and like only give so much of your time to a corporation before you boss up and do it yourself. Like do your own thing. Absolutely. Black people. All the people. But Black people, come on.
What's your take, girl?
Yeah, what are your stress? You're de-stressing.
You know what? I'm going to just come right out and say it because it's a nerdy and dirty segment. And if I didn't, I feel like Black women, invest in a vibrator. I don't even care if you are having regular eyes rolling to the back of your head sex. There's nothing wrong with investing in solo experiences. So please, I mean, safety first, and making sure that you have all of the proper cleaning measures, and that you also have perhaps a quiet mode if you have roommates, or you want to keep your hobbies on the DL, right? But at the same time, please pleasure thyself. Keep a pleasure
thyself.
Yes.
Come on, self-care, self-love.
It's true. You don't always need a partner to do it.
Yes.
You absolutely don't.
And it doesn't make you any less of a woman.
If anything, you get that serotonin boost, your skin looking all glowy and beautiful.
Ah, yes.
Absolutely.
Good orgasm will do wonders for you.
I call it therapist, right? It's half therapist. It's like my clitoral therapist or whatever.
Love it. Yes, my clitoral therapist. Did you see the therapist today?
Claire.
Black women don't see therapists enough. If my therapist was my clitoris.
The click clear.
Yes,
well,
yes.
That's the problem, right? We need to more be able to say, right? The same way we talked about last week, I think it was the fact that we are not sharing enough of those like financial wellness and financial literacy tips with each other. Like, should be asking, like, when is, sexual repertoire kind of things about, like, when is the last time you've had some toe curling, actions, and you need to be making sure you're having them. So if you cannot have that with a partner, or, even if you are having it with a partner, still, yes, make sure you do that.
Next week's topic is going to be
make sure he eats you out. Make sure they eat you out.
Yes, thank you.
That is a requirement.
Human touch and sensation. You got to have all those stimulations to happen. Like, that is an important part of life, right? So
I immediately feel distressed just thinking about it.
I think it's important. Like, I'm glad we're culturally shifting into that sexual wellness is wellness, and also knowing how to be pleasured, and also knowing how you receive pleasure is really important. Where before it was like, oh, we would never talk about that. It's Sunday. It's the day of the Lord. Our Lord and Savior. I think it's let's move beyond this. Like, we all know
the
how
Lord wants you to have pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes. On the Lord's Day.
On the Lord's Day. This is the only work you should be putting in.
No, it's so important that we also have that education too, because without education, that's when recklessness happens.
Yes.
We can have educated recklessness, but we can't be having like ignorant recklessness, because then that turns into regret, and like that's not what we want. So,
and stigma too. That's one thing I think that we don't recognize enough, is just the fact that women are sexual beings as well. This idea that, like, oh, the responsibility is on a woman to say no. Like, what? Why?
No.
Why? You want me to just constantly be denying myself pleasure? My whole job is to deny you pleasure and to deny myself pleasure. And somehow the amount of times that I've been able to deny myself pleasure correlates to my self-worth. Crazy. Nuts. Yeah. Bonkers.
Nuts.
Don't like it.
You said nuts.
Nuts.
Did you say nuts?
Nuts.
Nuts. Oh my God.
Right.
You know what's nuts?
What is nuts?
This Just Nerdy segment.
Yes.
What's nuts is that there is going to be another live action Mario movie. Another. Keyword another.
Another
I'm
one.
using another because, well, first of all, I am a critical video game critical person. Critical. I'm not going to say critic because critics have credit. I'm just an amateur podcast person who is upset by this Mario movie.
Stick burns from sometimes V. What's the problem, V? What's wrong?
I thought, we all, as a collective, at the age of 1993 as a collective that we agreed that the 1993 version of the Super Mario movie was it. We didn't need to do this again. We did not need to do this again, revisit the story. Nope. These characters are nonverbal characters that make noises when they are happy, noises when they are sad, and noises when they're excited, and noises when they are defeated. And that is okay. We don't need dialogue. We just need Mario to go fight after that dinosaur bastard named Bowser who keeps stealing that blonde bitch in his castle.
You don't want to know about his tragic plumbing backstory? What's wrong with you?
We all know he's on shrooms. It's fine. He is on some freaking psychedelics. We all know it. I mean, there's so many colorful things, but
introspection.
Mold that screams at you. Stress
relief.
Like
Toad with an attitude. No.
Oh my God. So there is a new, for those who are listening into Being Context, there is a new Mario movie that is in the works. The voice actors include, but not limited to, Chris Pratt, who we all as a collective are just like, Chris Pratt, whatever. And then there is Jack Black, who is going to be Bowser. And I'm actually curious on the take because, listen, I really did like Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic.
Me too. Yes.
So I might accidentally fall in love with Jack Black being Bowser.
I love Jack Black.
Even though I'm like critical of what this movie might come to be.
Yeah.
I might like Jack Black as Bowser.
I think so. I'm looking much like more forward to him in that role than I am Chris Pratt. Just like, and Seth Rogen too. I'm kind of looking forward to the magic that the both of them.
Oh, that's right. Seth Rogen's in this.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I think he's Donkey Kong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
is he going to do the Donkey Kong rap?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm always skeptical when they do live action anything for something that is like so heavily animated.
Yes.
You are so special. I cannot with you.
And Peach, you know, we just talked about the Emmys, but Anya Taylor-Joy, who was in Queen's Gambit, she was delightful in it, but I don't know, that kind of quirky kind of thing fit her. So, but I don't know about her playing Peach. I gotta say, I'm a little like,
I was hoping for like an Anna Faris, like Homegirl from Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a really good Peach. I think she would have been a really, really good Peach. I just want her to be like Cindy again. I just need her to be Cindy in another vessel. I need her to be Cindy.
Wow. Cindy was great. Cindy was like that perfect vapid mix.
Yeah.
Of like
Anna Faris,
sincerity.
like it probably is in the divorce decree or something. They won't cast them ever.
I forgot they were married.
Yeah.
I forgot.
For 8 years. They were married for a pretty sizable amount of time. But I mean, she would have been perfect as Peach. I think, I don't know. I just, for maybe people who haven't seen Queen's Gambit, you know, you guys have to look at this and then tell us, because I know she was, like I said, delight in that, but that fit for like, you know, Grandmaster, like I just don't see it as being.
She was a little psycho kooky.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes.
Sexy psycho kooky.
She played that role perfectly. It was almost like she kind of, and for those who watch like Peaky Blinders or Peaky Blinders, I don't watch the series other than I would only watch it for Cillian Murphy, because I just, I mean, who couldn't love Cillian Murphy in those eyes? But I don't watch her. I don't watch the show. But if I did, it would only be for him. So she would be an afterthought for me. Kylie, do you watch that at all?
I've seen a few episodes. I haven't really gotten into it. I think most of the times I was starting it, it was just like, oh, real life is too stressful for me to watch a sad, dark show right now. So that's kind of like how I navigate which shows I'm going to be watching.
Yeah.
So
that's
on
why
the
I'm
list.
like, Mario cast, kind of not. I can't think of what role, is it Keegan? I always get his name mixed up. Is it Michael Keegan Key or Keegan Michael Key? From
it's Keegan Michael Key. Keegan
Yeah.
Michael Key.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's in it, and I think he's going to be funny, like him and Seth Rogen, Jack Black, and like Fred Armisen as like the Toads and the Kongs. I think that's going to be kind of funny.
Yeah, to me, I just feel like this is like a high budgeted like Mario Brothers abridged. Like like it's not gonna be like in canon with the main story.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be them. Like it's just a bunch of all-star actors just like acting out these characters. Like a YouTube video, kind of like a YouTube video. Like that's my anticipation. Like it's gonna be a high budget, what could have been low budget. Like and I think honestly, maybe a big portion of that budget is just to get these names on this movie.
Just those names, just those cameos.
Yeah.
Yes. My kid even said today, my kid talked to, and Mark Cooper can attest to this. My kid was talking to Mark Cooper earlier. They call each other sometimes. And my son said, he was talking about Mario. And he said, I'm so upset that Charles Martinet is not in this. And then, so I learned that they're supposed to be maybe an appearance as a cameo, but
that would be great to have some cameos from the original. I would dig that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you got John Leguizamo, is that how you say that?
I love him. Like, see, that would work. Yes, that's what we need.
Yeah, like I would love to hear his voice, just to be like, okay, just even if it's like a quick character, kind of like how Stan Lee kind of sneaks into the Marvel movies. Like it would be great if he would do that. Same thing with Bob Hoskins. Like that would be great too.
That would be cute. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I just I don't know. I'm still just like, it's kind of like when, to me, just because like I, playing Mario Party with the family since like 1990 whatever, like I'm just like, we don't need to do this. Like I would have taken probably more like interest if they would have done like an overdub in like Mario Party, where I had the option to like decide which dubbing I wanted, whether if I wanted dialogue to be like recited or if I just wanted to hear the original voices. Like that would be cool, but maybe not a whole ass movie. It's kind of like the Emoji Movie. Why do we need an Emoji Movie?
I don't know, but now I can't get the idea of Megan Thee Stallion as Bowser out of my head. I feel like that would just be great. Like, hello? And also, would Peaches ever leave? I feel like she wouldn't. Megan Thee Stallion was Bowser?
Megan Thee Stallion.
It would change the whole movie. Like
they would be where I could just see it now. Like
that woman as Bowsette is perfect.
Bowsette.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And because we love Lizzo, she could be Peaches.
Yes, we need that. I'm like, listen.
Let's just have us recast the whole damn thing. Like, just recast the whole damn thing. Okay, if we were going to have Mario, let's not even start there. We need some Wario. We need some Wario in here.
Wario. Ooh,
yeah, I need a drag Wario though. Like I don't need a man Wario. I need a drag Wario.
Ooh, who will we get to be a drag Wario? Oh,
Monet Exchange.
Ooh.
Monet Change. Wait, I'm saying that their name wrong. Oh my god, Monet. I need to look it up before I like get.
Before you get dragged
from Drag Race. I don't remember. Exchange.
Oh yeah, Monet Exchange.
Yes.
Okay, I did say that right. Like they would be.
I would rock with that.
Yeah.
I was like Bob the Drag Queen, just because I love him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peach would definitely be Lizzo. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Lizzo would never get out of that castle though.
She'd be like, "Excuse me, who is Bowser?" Megan, it's honey. Let's go.
Cakes.
We would need a Waluigi. You know who is actually the best Waluigi, even though they're not a celeb, like they're not like an A-list or B-list celebrity? It would be Anya Braddock. Because I think she went to Dragon Con cosplaying as Waluigi and just cheeks out.
Okay.
It was amazing.
That's
cheeks
what we
out
need.
Waluigi. Okay, so now that we got that under control, like, so there's that. We need a Daisy.
Oh, Daisy.
I feel like this is like fantasy football. Like, who would we have?
Can we get like a Tessa Thompson or something for that? I feel like we need like a good strong like character with the who knows how to really add some like comedy, but also is just a good strong like a Tessa Thompson.
Ooh, I like Tiffany Haddish. Lols.
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. Oh, she would act up in that. She would act up.
I could see, ironically, as like an ironic role with all these comedians would be like Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh yeah.
The Daisy.
Yes.
Like just being like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Here we are. It's Millie.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I would keep Charlie Day as Luigi. Charlie
Day is, I'm actually looking forward to, I'm kind of looking forward to him.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at it. When I saw it, I'm like, not mad at it. Not sure what your height is in real life, but not mad at it.
Wow.
That's messed up, V.
That's messed up, V. Sometimes, V.
Doesn't matter if he's listening to this. He's like, oh, I'm crying in my dollar bills, like
in my mansion. Woo.
In my mansion.
Woo.
Can we get Jason Momoa in this somehow?
Some way. He could be the castle. Yes.
I definitely ain't leaving that castle, okay?
I'm not leaving the castle. I've come to conquer the castle. Sit on the throne.
Sit on the throne. Sit on the throne. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Climate Rapunzel shit.
Yes, that's what we're about.
Oh my gosh. With that note, yes, I don't think we need to do any more recasting here. Thank you for listening to Lady Blerds Sing. Okay. All right, so moving along with nerdy news, the largest Sega arcade has either recently closed or is in the midst of closing right now. I don't really have any memories because I've never visited the Sega arcade, but like this kind of reminded me in a ripple effect of how other arcades are kind of just not as popular as they were like back in the 80s and 90s. And I think it's just because the accessibility of like emulators, consoles that you can bring home, all the games that you want to play are on your computer. It's just there's more access to do everything from home now instead of like going out. And of course, with the pandemic, no one wants to be up there with a bunch of sweaty people playing on these like ping pong tables and stuff. However, there is still a nostalgic factor where some bars still live with like having mini arcades, like, you know, barcades where like now there's alcohol involved to have a good time. But, you know, now there isn't any like the traditional sense of an arcade is not as valued as it was like 20 years ago. So I guess what I'm trying to run around here is, what was your arcade experience when you were as a kid, if you visited any? And like, why did you, well, let's just say with that, like, what was your arcade experience as a kid, just in honor of talking about the Sega arcade in general? So, Prowess.
I feel like, so my kind of, there was a twofold to that, because there was, in short, there was a, like the mall, you went and where kids could go to hang in the mall. You couldn't, like, my era, it was all about like, my high school was very close to the mall. So people would, even though we did not have off-campus lunch, we had on-campus lunch because the class before us had ruined that. But the idea of going to the mall and the arcade was where like you couldn't walk around the mall, but you could go hang out in there. And everybody, you know, worked there. And the idea of like, you know, cheap food and drink, and you could get free drinks. And it was the idea of being able to sort of like the mechanical museum. You know, you go in, it's like all your favorite 80s and 90s classics. It's like the blast from the past in that way. Most people kind of hang out with like trying to beat each other's high score on something. And then for me, it's like going to the beach. And I feel like that's going to be my son's kind of connection in this era, because we go to the beach and that's what we do. It's like, because the games are half outdoor and indoor in this kind of weird pandemic space we're in, it's like safe to go to like Asbury Park and get on like a gaming machine and to enjoy that. And then you have a card now attached to it, usually, and then you're able to collect tickets. It's still got that style where a lot of the like Dave and Buster's and those kinds of things have kind of removed. They've made it so electronic. You don't get like the tickets. Everything's on that card, and you have to go. And but this, you still get the chance to like, you get the card, you can swipe it, and you can put your coins or your dollars in and get coins, and you can use that way. There's still the analog kind of spirit behind it, and getting the tickets. To me, seeing somebody walk around with like arms, and trash bags full of tickets.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah.
To trade it
Like,
in for like an eraser.
Yes, exactly. You don't get that
Blinky.
at Dave & Buster's or any of those other kind of, you've got to go to like the real authentic arcade. And for us, that the majority of those have been relegated to like beach towns.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, the bags of tickets kill me, because I used to be so jealous as a kid where I would see everyone with these big old bags and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna get the biggest stuffed animal and I want that. And then yet I only had like maybe like 30 tickets, and it only got me like what Kylie was saying. It's like, oh, here's a bag of hot Cheetos, or like here's like a little bouncy ball. I'm like, that's it. Dang.
Yeah.
Ruthless around these parts. Gotta work.
They're like, go put in the hours, kid. So like my arcade experience, I didn't really have like a hands-on arcade experience as a kid. What I got was like through the movies. You know what I mean? So it's like you'd see all these movies like The Karate Kid, or shows now like Stranger Things or It. Whereas they're giving you all this like 80s, 90s nostalgia, and they're like taking you to these arcades. And I was like, I never got that experience. The closest I got to that was like going to Chuck E. Cheese, you know what I mean, for some kid's birthday, which is not the same. So like I said, I get to have these fun experiences as an adult. And sometimes V takes me to like barcades, so I get to explore and like learn games.
Yep.
I think the barcade that we went to was the first time that I had actually like played a pinball game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We should do a barcade tour.
We should do a barcade tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that has been my experience with it, is mostly like seeing the nostalgia and then just being like, oh, I want to go do that, and playing the game. Seeing the old graphics is really kind of like a fun trip, because now I get to see like what things are referencing, it's like learning the source material. I find joy in that, like the same way I do in music, when I like hear a good sample and I'm just like, oh, I know they sampled this and the original like must be dope, and you go find that original song and you're like, oh God, it's better than what I thought it was. So that's kind of been like my arcade experience, like working backwards, which is really great.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I keep forgetting that you're kind of like a soul that was looking from the outside in, and now you're the in. And I'm like, that's right, you're getting introduced to all this stuff. That's great. No, I really like that, because I really love the fact that like you're able to appreciate it now when you've seen it and you haven't had your hands on it yet, so that's great, because like you can love this stuff at any age, right? My nostalgic take is, I almost forgot about this. Like I was going to talk about how I would somehow like finagle my way into the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk arcade, because like no one in the group that I was in ever wanted to go in there. And I'm like, but I want to go in there and play DDR. I want to go in there and play like the shooter games. I want to finish House of the Dead at one point. And so like I I just always try to find a reason to go play the video games, because also my uncle really got me into playing video games when we were kids. Like I remember he would be on the Super Nintendo, as well as actual like the Nintendo 64, and like watching him play those games. And so every time I knew that there was video games somewhere else, I'm like, I want to play that. So but I do remember like going to Reno and going to Circus and seeing like the mega video games and the mega games that you can play, like beyond like the carnival games that you would like sit there and get tickets for. But yeah, I remember like getting into those and like wanting to do all like the body oriented games where like you're either sitting and driving in a car, or you're like, stomping on the ground because you're trying to get some arrows. Like, I think that was kind of like my experience with doing that. I do remember playing as like my first like little like arcade game, like one of those box games where you're looking at the screen. It was Donkey Kong. And for some reason, I thought I was winning at Donkey Kong because I thought I was Donkey Kong throwing the barrels at the man that was trying to climb up and steal my girl, when really I was actually Mario trying to climb up and not get hit by the barrels. So I'm like, yay, I'm winning. And my uncle's like, you sure are. You sweet, sweet child. I had to have been like 7 years old.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to get my girl stolen, when really I just didn't understand the controls. Like it was one of those moments where I felt like for a while maybe I was given like the controller that wasn't plugged in.
I relate that all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah, for those who are listening, if you have any arcade experiences that you want to express, you can let us know in the comment section on our YouTube video, or even in our SoundCloud. I noticed that we've been getting a lot of folks on our SoundCloud responding to things. So
hi, SoundCloud people.
Yeah, I'm like, I was expecting more from like Apple or Spotify, but no, it's SoundCloud. So yeah, I'm really liking all the comments I've been seeing thus far. So thank you so much for those who've been following and all that stuff. Yes. Now that we're getting to the closing parts of our podcast, couple things. So what's the word I'm looking for? Yes. So I'm sure you guys heard it on the news, but unfortunately, Jaylani Day, who was missing for about a month, his body has been found and identified, and it's very tragic because of the circumstances that he was a Black man who went to college and just never returned home back to his family. So I'm not trying to water down his individual situation. However, it's really heartbreaking to hear more and more of these stories happen, where it's like a person disappears and then they're tragically found. So what I'm trying to say around this, I do recommend anybody looking up the story is like, if you guys, there is a GoFundMe that is called Find Jaylani Day. They don't have a goal to achieve. It was actually very, how the sister set it up was she only put the goal for $1, but got like $25,000 worth of donations. So if you guys are ever feeling like you want to donate to their cause for, whatever that they need to cover for the circumstances of the investigation, the memorial services and whatnot, consider supporting the family of Jaylani Day. Making sure you can use it, especially from the kindness of a stranger, would be the most impactful for sure. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say on that.
No, other than I feel like all the I guess empirical analysis that's happened in today's news around sort of race and gender disparities for coverage of missing persons. There's so much of that out there, but a lot of what they have been getting down to is the fact that how the communities also individually as communities respond to when one of us is missing, right? So meaning us as a community across our diaspora, when someone is missing, how serious we take it is oftentimes correlated to the amplification of news coverage. so that, you know, the more attention, even though this has been sort of a, you know, a sad situation where someone has now sort of their body has been recovered and this did not go the way that we expected it to, but even still amplifying this out is so important to contribute to what might happen the next time that one of us does go missing, whether or not there's a 2-year-old girl missing right now, and with the mother's boyfriend or something suspected of foul play in Mississippi. Obviously, we know a 2-year-old is not missing. So that those kinds of things where how do we get that story amplified above others? So yes.
No, I absolutely agree. Like making sure that we're amplifying these stories, making sure we're saying their names is very important. So it doesn't get blanketed under a general like situation is really important. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to give to everybody's attention. I know that, you know, that completely shifted the mood from talking about arcades to our community, but it's really important to address these things, I think. But yeah, moving along for Big Move Monday. First of all, let's talk about our Christian nerdcore rap artist.
Oh my God, our resident Christian nerdcore hip hop artist.
He knows it's all love. We
Daddy extraordinaire.
Daddy extraordinaire. King Size the Vet.
King Size the Vet.
Yeah, I suppose he released new music. I guess.
He's always releasing new music.
Yeah, so so King Size the Vet, I believe, definitely released some new goods, which we will link up into the description today or after this episode is published. So I just want to make sure, like, where is this album? I can't
Where
find
is your album, sir?
It's probably
on, was it Spotify?
It might have been
on
Spotify. It is on Spotify. Yeah, Ultimo Victory. That's his single that he just recently released. So if we can't really raid a music track, but go listen to his music. It's good stuff. He very much so. I really appreciate King Size Vet because he really looks out for those in the nerdcore community, and he's always like willing to like chat it up, shoot the shit, make sure we're doing well and all that stuff. And so like, yeah, he's just good people. So yeah, check him out. Also, another thing that happened this week is the first anniversary of Nirvana Soul, which is a San Jose local coffee shop, owned by Jeronica and Bianca. So happy birthday, Nirvana Soul. Congratulations. I saw that you guys did that block party.
Yes, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. But we weren't singing happy birthday anymore.
Yes.
Lord, they are killing it. Expanding, got their whole new like roasting room. Bro, I'm just so proud and pleased that they've had the year that they've had, that they've been able to keep expanding, because that is rare. Like most people, they tell you when you open a business, like don't expect to see profits the first year. You know what I mean? And like on top of just being a Black-owned business, they opened during a pandemic. And they
that's a lot to celebrate.
Hello, they opened during the middle of the pandemic when they couldn't even really like have as many people in their space. But the quality is so good. People lined up around the block for their coffee daily, every day. And their waffles. And what gets me is the connection to the community. They give so much to their local artists. You know what I mean? They make sure that you want to talk about stress relief. That's my happy place. Like literally, if I'm having a really rough week, I will go to Nirvana Soul and it will pick me up every time. The color scheme's on point. They know how to treat their customers. Like I really feel like I'm at home. I go in there, they know me by name. You know what I mean? They're so
I haven't
sweet.
been there in like a month, and I'm sure I'm gonna roll in and Veronica be like, Veronica, where have you been? Where you been at?
Coffee is a thing too. It's a, you know, I mean, it's a community space too. I love that about coffee and the story of coffee. Like, you know, find out where your beans were procured, and usually their beans are free trade, and so there is so much of that. So look, I can't wait to come visit Nirvana Soul.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, you know what I mean? the art gallery gets me because you can go upstairs and look around, and they rotate their art out regularly. I've connected with so many awesome, amazing, beautiful, wonderful artists out here through Nirvana Soul. And then also, I just like the fact that it really is like home away from home, and they yell at you. Like if you're upstairs and they miss something on your order, they'll be like, yo, Kylie, you want whipped cream on this?
Or if you're acting up, they'll call you out.
Or if you're acting up, they'll call you out. Kylie, stop taking so many selfies up there. Your order's getting cold. Go to work, girl. You're late.
Keep me on my toes.
They do. They care.
Yeah, and the people that they hire is like, they're so loving. Like the people, like they're so loving, and they seem like that they're taken care of and all that stuff. So I absolutely love it. I really do.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy birthday, Nirvana Soul. So last thing, I know that there's something to look out for. Prowess, this is your area.
Yes. So this Friday, this Saturday, my apologies, there is a beat battle that will be hosted by Noir Grime on the Noir Grime TV Twitch channel. But this beat battle is going to be something special. It's 16 people competing. I am among one of those 16. And we're all sort of, this is a very sort of stratified approach. So it's kind of like March Madness of the beat battle. So, you know, we all have a bracket, and I am battling Beaker in this bracket. So, you know, somebody, I just am walking into this, but Beaker is like a full-on professional who does this for Massacres beats and does that for a long time. So you got people like Robo Rob, Damn Celine, who we love, Young Sullivan, Clop and Pop. You've got, I mean, it's going to
Clock and Pop's doing it. Heck yes.
You got Hack and Slash, Johnny Hack and Slash, who we love. Just, it's going to be filled with dopeness. So definitely Saturday, Noir Grime TV. Also curated by Smugzug.
Yes, we
Awesome.
love us some Bill Beats.
Yes.
We love us
Yes.
some Shubzillas. We love
Yes.
us some Shubs. We love us Shubs.
We love
Right.
us Shubs.
Yes.
Yes. And so I don't know all of the judges yet, but I do know that Noir Grime will be a part of that. So that judging panel. So look out for that.
Yes.
Yay.
All right. So it looks like we're at a close here.
Yes, exciting things to look forward to. Thank you for listening to Lady Blerds Sings the Blues. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Pods, and our original home, SoundCloud. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Lady Blerds Podcast. For questions and suggestions about the show, email us at don'tcastndrive. That's spelled Don't Cast N Drive. And lastly, big shout outs to the Rap Nerd for our theme, DJ Tayukin and Mark Cooper for the sounds that keep us lifted within our show. Please engage with us, people. Like, we really love to see it. We do. Thank you. We will
And
find
rest
you
in
next
peace to
time.
Melvin Van Peebles.
Yeah.
One day I'll learn how to do the worm. I mean the wave.
The wave. Ooh.
I can't even do it backwards. Like it's this. Oh wait. I can't.
We're still recording. It's the end of the
It's
episode.
like I'm getting ready
We love
to
you.
like some wicked like kung fu move or karate or something, but you know, when I vogue, it's like everything is like at an angle.
Oh, like the Morpheus.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Come at me, bro.